Hey everyone, and welcome to another GameXplain discussion. I'm your host, Derek Bittner, and I'm joined today by John Cartwright and Ash Paulson to discuss the recent rumor that the Xbox Game Pass is coming to the Nintendo Switch, along with an Ori game. So, let's get started. Alright, so not too long ago, we got a little bit of a leak as far as GDC is concerned with apparently Xbox Live coming to multiple devices, such as cell phones, and even Nintendo Switch was listed, which sort of raised some eyebrows. And now a new report has come out by DirectFeed Games stating that not only is Xbox Live coming to it, but so is Xbox's Game Pass, which is kind of a bigger deal. Now, you actually did this update, John, so do you want to give us the full details?
Yeah, sure. I think people are probably wondering how this is going to happen, because Xbox One is a much stronger device than Nintendo Switch. But at E3 2018, they announced Project XCloud, which is basically their streaming service. And during their presentation, they showed games like Halo 5 and Forza running on mobile phones. And basically, they've invested a lot in cloud streaming. And this is something a lot of companies have tried before, but it feels like Microsoft might be the first company to really pull it off. So it'll be interesting to see if this works as is, but based off this rumor, it seems like that service will be coming to Switch as part of an Xbox app. And in addition to that, of course, we're getting a port of Ori as well. And I guess this opens up the door for other ports, like maybe Cuphead. Super Lucky's Tale was rumored a while back. So this is all just seeming really likely at this point. I don't know about you guys, but I am 100% behind this rumor.
Yeah, me too. I mean, this is a pretty, if this comes to pass, this is a pretty groundbreaking moment. I mean, it's in a way, obviously they're going to stay in the hardware business, but in a way, it's almost Microsoft going third party, kind of, if this happens, and it's just nuts. I mean, we're again, if this comes to pass, we're living in the best timeline, at least in some sense, because two of the big three are now working or will have started working together, and that's just insane to me.
Though, I guess they're only going third-party for Nintendo, because I cannot see Sony saying okay to this.
Exactly.
Because Xbox Game Pass is basically a huge subscription... Well, it's a subscription service where you get a bunch of first-party games and third-party games. And if this were on PlayStation 4, that basically means that there'd be no need for the PlayStation versions of those games. It makes sense for Switch, because Switch doesn't have those games in the first place, but it's something I don't think Sony would have any interest in. And we've seen that with crossplay as well. It's just they aren't playing ball with this. But Nintendo and Microsoft's relationship is really strong right now.
It really seems to be the case.
Yeah, I mean, even in general, people who say they have PlayStation and Xbox, there's so much crossover there. It's not, you don't get quite as wide, well, you don't get anywhere near as wide of a gaming spectrum as if you have either a PlayStation or an Xbox and a Switch. So this partnership makes so much sense in terms of, well, both for Microsoft in terms of opening up their ecosystem to a wider audience, as well as Nintendo giving their player base a wider spectrum of games to check out.
I mean, who's more likely to get the Game Pass? People who might already have these games that already have your system, or a brand new system where nobody actually owns your games, potentially, and can get it anyway. Like, it's sort of the best of both worlds, especially for somebody like me who has a PlayStation 4 and a Switch, but no Xbox. All of a sudden, Xbox games have opened up to me. And that's a really appealing idea, especially because, it's always been thrown around that a lot of Microsoft's exclusives also end up on PC, so there's not really a point of getting Xbox One. I've seen that in the past. I mean, I picked up Cuphead for the PC, but I don't really enjoy playing on my PC that much. I'm at my desk all the time anyway for work, so I'm like, let's relax with games and sit in this chair some more. No, I'd rather get comfy.
Yeah.
So this is a really appealing prospect for me.
And I'm so excited for Ori. He just says Ori, he doesn't specify Blind Forest or Will of the Wisps. But the original Ori and the Blind Forest is hands down one of my favourite games of this generation. It's beautiful, it's so well designed, and the soundtrack is amazing. So that alone just makes me so excited, but at the prospect of basically all of Xbox coming to Switch is just massive, massive news. I was thinking about what other games could potentially come to Switch as native ports, and Rare Replay is an interesting one. The only caveat though, I guess, is that game uses Xbox 360 backwards compatibility for some of its games. But then I was looking at the Xbox Game Pass, and that actually supports a lot of 360 games, including the ones in Rare Replay. So I suppose it's a possibility that you could just stream those 360 games and have all the other ones as native ports.
Well, and of course, we have to take that line of thinking to its logical, exciting conclusion, which is, we may actually be playing both Banjo games on Xbox as part of this whole deal if it comes to pass, But yeah, I mean, that's awesome. I mean, there may be no need for Nintendo to negotiate the rights to those characters and get those games on Switch, because they're just included as part of this whole Xbox Game Pass thing, which having Banjo on Switch would be awesome. Not to mention the fact that those are updated ports that are much better across the board than their N64 originals. So this might be a lot of Nintendo fans' first chance to play these updated versions, better versions of these classic games.
And Perfect Dark, man. That would be so exciting to play on Switch.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I do have an Xbox One S. I don't play it all that often, but when I do, I really enjoy what I play. And Derek, John, you mentioned Cuphead, which is super exciting. But I'm also personally a big Forza fan, and I played a lot of Forza Horizon 3 on Xbox One, and I loved it. So to have that, be able to revisit that on Switch, or perhaps even 4, would be really, really cool.
I'm also a big Halo fan, and if they natively ported the Master Chief Collection, I would be really happy. 1, 2, 3, and 4, I think they could get them running on Switch natively. I'm not a big fan of 4, but if they brought just the original trilogy to Switch, that would just be massive stuff. And back in the day, there's actually rumours of there being a Halo DS, and IGN had a demo of it. So this is kind of like a full circle thing coming around.
It really does feel like it. It is amazing, like imagining like Halo on Switch, Gears of War on Switch, just all these like really high profile Xbox games actually on the Switch, and even just expanding the third-party options for Switch owners through the Game Pass, because it's not just Microsoft games, it is third-party companies as well. So you can see like Saints Row 3, the Lego games, Tomb Raider, what have you. There's a lot of options here, and if they can make this streaming service actually work like they say, this is an amazing quality to it, and it could have a lot of potential and just make the Switch even more of a killer app and sell so many passes for Microsoft.
Are you guys worried what this might mean for Switch third party though? Because I'm looking through this Game Pass list and I see Doom, and Doom is one of the biggest third party ports on Switch at the moment. And if you can just do it through Game Pass, what incentive does the developer have to natively port that game to Switch?
I would imagine there's probably some sort of agreement or contract language in place to assure that doesn't happen. So perhaps Doom specifically won't be offered through the Switch app for that very reason. Although I don't know how technically feasible that is. So you bring up a good point. I just have to imagine there'd be some sort of contract language in place to kind of address that issue.
You're right. That is a big question to have about future ports because of that. But nobody really seems shy about porting things to the Switch. And even Microsoft, if this whole thing is be believed, rather than having Ori as part of the Game Pass, is just putting Ori on the Switch. So there's possibilities here. The Game Pass might be a little bit more limited than we think.
Yeah, and Nintendo have explored streaming as well in the past. They did both Resident Evil 7 and Assassin's Creed Odyssey are available for streaming on the Switch right now in the Japanese eShop. We can't stream them very well from here, but it does work in Japan though. Maybe they've been kind of like experimenting with this just to prepare for Xbox, for the Game Pass and XCloud.
Do we know in general if players in Japan who have tried those, stream versions of games, are they typically happy, or do we know if the performance has been, lacking a little bit, or do we know in general?
I'm not so sure. I know that people playing it internationally have had a bad time, but of course they will because they're Japanese servers. But I think either way, Xbox and Microsoft are investing a lot in their cloud service. So no matter what they do, it's probably going to be a lot better than what Nintendo had going on.
Right. My curiosity, I think, would be where it falls in comparison to PlayStation Now, because I tried out the trial subscription for that, and it was pretty cool, but I definitely noticed, it's not the same experience as playing a game natively on your console. There's a little bit, at least for me, there's a bit of input delay, I think slight stuttering. It wasn't a big deal, but it definitely wasn't quite the same. And now, of course, my internet sucked until a few days ago, so that might be part of it. But, it is worth noting that it wasn't quite the same experience, although, as you said, Microsoft really has been investing a lot in this, so it may even end up being better than PlayStation Now.
That's a legit concern, because also the Switch is portable, and I don't imagine you'll be able to stream very well from Wi-Fi hotspots. This sounds like something you play at home, and only at home.
Possibly wired in, like via actual Ethernet, and not just on your Wi-Fi network.
That might be the safest option, is at the very least. I'm sure they'll try to optimize it for Wi-Fi and try to get that to work as best as they can. But, that will be kind of a major hurdle. So, but if the whole rumor is true about Nintendo working on a handheld version of the Switch, which again makes sense with Pokemon Gen 8 coming, then having another option to support the console version of that, it makes sense. Just have keep feeding into both sides of the Switch's player base, so they can enjoy it on the go or at home.
It's also exciting to think what this can do for online, because of course Switch's online offerings aren't great. With all of these Xbox integration, we can pretty much just have Xbox services on here. Like you can, in Minecraft at the moment, you can get achievements. So imagine just being able to like message your Xbox Live friends. And seeming as Xbox is going to be an app, I do wonder if maybe we can just message Xbox players across the board, like regardless if we're in Xbox games or not.
That almost feels like that won't be the case, except for specific functionality, like perhaps messaging, only because I feel like that could threaten to lower people's opinion of Nintendo Switch Online even more than they already are, because let's face it, both Xbox Live and PlayStation Network are about 1 billion times better at minimum than Nintendo Switch Online. So if you give Nintendo fans too much access to Xbox Live, they may start thinking, man, what am I missing? You know, the online experience here on Switch sucks, or at least relatively compared to Xbox, and maybe I need to go check out Xbox Live. So I could see there maybe being a case for them not allowing too much access to Xbox Live through the app.
I think it's going to be pretty limited at the start and maybe expand as time goes on. It's going to feel experimental at first. It definitely seems like.
But, you know, the potential here is just massive. I'm looking at the list of games now, and we've got all 3 Tomb Raider reboot games, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, Sea of Thieves, like Gears 4. There's so much potential for this venture.
And a great thing with Xbox Game Pass is every single time they release a first-party game, it goes straight to Game Pass. There's no waiting period. You can get Crackdown 3 right now.
That's crazy.
You don't have to buy that game. Yeah, it's a great service. So when Halo Infinite comes out, you don't need to buy that game. You can just be subscribed to Game Pass, and you'll have it on Switch if this rumor's true.
That's crazy.
That is just insane. What a time to live in. Again, if this ends up being true, what a time to live in.
And I suppose this asks one big question as well. Do you think this gives Microsoft a better chance of having a character in Smash?
It kind of does. I don't know who I'd want. Well, I'd probably rather have Master Chief than Minecraft Steve. Because Master Chief, I don't know.
Well, Banjo as well, man.
Well, no, Banjo's what I want, but I just wonder how much actual chance there is of that happening. But then again, if the suits in charge realize that Banjo is that legacy, now Microsoft character that Nintendo fans identify with so much, that may be what ends up happening. But in terms of wide appeal, I feel like it's either got to be Master Chief, bringing new players into Smash, which is what they seem to be doing with Joker and other DLC characters. I feel like it might either be Steve or Master Chief in terms of that wide, universal appeal.
I think Master Chief would be the most impactful addition to Smash, because he is the face of Xbox, and just have him in this Nintendo game would just be crazy.
Fighting Snake in Cloud. And
yeah, I mean, again, we have Snake with realistic weaponry, so it's not that far off from being, that hard to think about.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
I think we're all hoping for Banjo, though. That's our first choice. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course. But, any other thoughts on this whole idea of Game Pass coming to the Switch? Because I think we're all pretty sold on the idea that, this is going to happen.
Well, one thing I would mention is the price point. Can we expect the price point to remain the same for, Switch owners? Will they maybe do a different price point if you're subscribing through the Xbox app on Switch? Because right now, it's not a bad deal. You can get the first 2 months for $2, and then it's only $9.99 a month after that. And with the games that we've been talking about that are on this service, and the fact that new first-party releases are thrown up on there immediately, that's a really good price.
Yeah, I do wonder if streaming's going to be free. Will there be a streaming service as well? I don't know, actually. I don't know if they'll do that or not. Because if you're streaming, you still have to buy games, so they're still getting money out of you if you're streaming. So maybe they wouldn't charge for streaming.
I wonder how they would do that, because if they knock the price up too much, hardcore Nintendo fans, I've noticed, can be a bit of a closed bunch in terms of widening their gaming horizons. They're just not as necessarily that likely to jump over to PlayStation and Xbox because they're very happy with Nintendo. So I could see that if they bump up the price for this too much, a lot of Nintendo fans might just be, Xbox is stupid anyway, so I don't need to pay more on top of what I'm paying for Nintendo Switch Online just to get Xbox games. So I feel like they do have to enter this, new market with a very attractive price point for Nintendo fans.
I am also wondering if there's going to be any compatibility with a native Xbox One controller, because the Switch controller doesn't have analog triggers. And with games like Forza, I think you kind of need them. You're losing a bit if you don't have analog triggers in those games.
That's a good point.
Maybe they'll have some kind of adapter, or maybe it can just link natively to the Switch. Who knows?
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if they made it possible just for an Xbox One controller to link natively to the Switch. That they've been so good about updating, third-party or unofficial controller support in general for the Switch. I feel like they might do it.
I mean, we got GameCube controller support, so I can't imagine it being that hard.
Well, those are analog. that has analog shoulder buttons, so maybe we're getting really crazy here.
There you go. Just use the GameCube controller
exactly.
for the Xbox games. Perfect.
Problem solved.
All right, well, I think that covers it for our Game Pass on Switch discussion, so thank you for watching, and if you like this video, be sure to like us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplain. And of course, make sure to subscribe to GameXplain for more on the Switch and other things gaming as well. Until next time, bye.